committee's recommendation as far as policy 919? Are we looking to revamp it, or we just want to get rid of it?
My opinion is I just think we need to edit it to be a little bit more reasonable to enforce for some of the booster groups, especially my only hang up was the CPA requirement to have CPA audited financials. I think, maybe we could just put in there having financials and providing us the financials.
If we could just have it set up where they maybe just send in like a list of officers and then just like a small number of what they have, like to make them go through the entire process, I think would just be too much for some of these booster groups.
I agree. An audit by a CPA
really
is very costly.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't want to just say financials. I would want to be specific as to what they have to provide us. I don't want to leave it vague. And, I agree that probably they need to give us some other information. It does say that they need to give us the minutes. I don't know if we looked at number 2 there under the CPA thing, but within 1 month of their meetings.
I saw that.
Mrs. Damasio, if we could get a consensus from the committee first, we just want to revamp the policy.
Yeah, I think that's the way we should do it. Fit it so that it coincides with what the district does currently, so that we can enforce it. Because I guess it hasn't been enforced, right?
Correct.
Yeah, so just make it so that we can start enforcing it. So it's nothing new, and it's nothing that would be a pain on either end for us or for them.
And I sent out a copy of the policy with some highlighted areas in it, which I think need to be taken out, just because it doesn't really pertain to us.
Yeah.
I thought the purpose was okay, the authority was okay, guidelines were okay until we got down to fundraising. I don't believe the district should be making a stance as to what alternative fundraising should look like within the booster group. That has no bearing on us.
Yeah, I agree.
We do not have an activities director.
That's what I was going to ask who it was.
Yeah.
I could say Mr. Solomon, but then he'll give me the eagle eye. So I would like to change that to building level principal. Their office staff can keep the fundraising calendar.
Okay.
That sounds good.
Then if you go on to the next page, I didn't think the part where it's recommended they invite administrators to the banquet is appropriate to put that on a booster group. If they want to invite administrators, that's nice.
Yeah.
And again, if they're doing something different, I know a lot of people are getting away from the banquets because they're so costly and they're doing more activities with the kids. I mean, I can't see us going bowling or anything with the kids. So, you know what I mean? I'd like to have that removed. Then finally, under the requirements, I think everything's good. I think we should get a little more of their bank statements. They don't need to be the CPA audited ones, but they definitely need to give us a list of what they purchased and how they're using that money. We want to make sure they're using it appropriately and for the students.
Yeah, just something that we could have on file, at hand, whatever.
Can you list it as independent auditing? Because, for example, the PTAs are governed by the state, and we have members of the PTA look at the treasurer's books and do an independent audit. It's as long as not the treasurer is not involved in it.
I don't know if we really want to use the word audit.
Okay.
I think that's too formalized. I don't think we're looking to have an audit. I think we're just looking to give us we receive your statements, your yearly statement, so we can just make sure, you're spending, the booster groups are spending the money on the kids and not out there doing whatever they want or,
It's justified.
Money.
Right.
I would just put that we need to know the total of funds collected and how they were distributed.
Yes, exactly. And then I think that's fine. When we get a list of the booster board or their president, vice president, so forth, and their bylaws that need to be updated. And I do like the part about getting their meeting minutes, just so we know what's going on.
Yeah.
Did we ever get a full list of every booster group that
Not
is
this one.
we
I'm sorry.
have that?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
How many of them are there?
Off the top of my head, I don't remember, but we had all the PTAs listed, and we had all the booster groups that have been approved.
Okay.
Somewhere it says in there that the superintendent will meet with all the booster groups. Do you want that in there?
Yeah, I think that's good. A booster, I would probably change it from superintendent to building level administration. I think the
Oh,
principals
okay.
are more involved, but I definitely, definitely would, welcome that type of meeting. Do we want the booster groups to come up with a yearly goal or a mission statement or something to that effect?
They typically do. I don't think.
I
it needs
think
to be
they should,
yearly.
if they give us their incorporation documents and their bylaws, their mission statement is in that. Is that my
Yeah.
understanding?
Yeah. And they don't have a new one.
Can we stipulate anything that one person can't be every member of the board?
That's a very good idea.
Well, but
It's
that's
already-
what the laws of the Commonwealth require it to be a board. It cannot be one individual. So their own bylaws, they have to abide by, and their bylaws require them to have a board, or it wouldn't have been approved by the state.
At least 4 officers within their bylaws. So if they give us the bylaws and it's only one person, then the board has the right to deny that group as being recognized.
Okay, that's fine. And I just want to make sure that I don't want to be in a position of policing this thing. So, right, like if there are other superseding organizations of the state, making sure that they're following those rules, and maybe we have to put something somewhere saying, making sure you are following those, these preset, overarching guidelines or laws. I think that would be good, or if it isn't in there already. One of the other things that I want to make sure that doesn't need to be in a policy, but that there's a general understanding of equitability of how money is distributed to parties involved. That there needs to be some sort of sense of equitability, so that it isn't, the biggest group gets all of the money. There's some fair distribution formula or something in there that they take it and make an effort to make sure that each group is treated as fairly and equitably as possible, and that they tell us how they do that.
I think some of that's a problem, because I believe when you fundraise, like if you're the band and you have a lot of kids,
Yeah.
some parents fundraise more than other parents. And I think sometimes you don't get the same thing for each child. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but I don't think sometimes it's done equitably, because someone might sell 150 hoagies and somebody sells 0, and they have private accounts, or they keep them per student. So I don't know if you want to delve into that point of distributing it fairly and equally, because I don't think that's how it's done by any organization.
I'm not saying equally. And in the band, they give a billion types of ways to raise money. So, you can pay cash, you can raise money, and everybody has to raise the same exact amount of money in order to go to Disney. So there's no you get less money. Maybe if you have multiple kids, you might have a little bit of a discount, but everybody gets that discount if you have more than one kid. My idea is that, and I'm just voicing my concern and my opinion. It does not have to be written in here, but the general sense should be, that groups are going to do things in an equitable, fair manner. It doesn't. I'm not saying that we need to police it. I'm not saying it needs to be in a policy. I'm just putting it out there that, we've all seen it. We all are aware of where, one group saying they're not getting what they think they need, and that there's some fair representation on the board. That I don't know how to do that. That's why I'm just kind of talking out loud. But the essence, what I'm trying to get to is that they try to do things as fairly and as equitably as possible, as it makes sense to however that booster group is put together and whatever they're supposed to be supporting. You know, if
Well,
it's-
Mr. Blaze, to go back to that,
yeah,
within the district, we do not have many organizations that do fundraising for multiple areas. The PTA usually does it for the school, and then you have the all sports group. Other than that, most of the booster groups are either sports or extracurricular specific.
got it.
So the equability comes within there. You know, the thing that will govern the PTA people as they do that, as well as the all sport, is your Title IX. So you know, they can't give more than one group not to the other because of Title IX, and that's what we would govern that with.
Can you explain that a little bit? Just I'm not familiar with Title IX.
Yeah, Title IX is so that we're not discriminating against any particular group. You know, originally it started out a lot more for sports or athletics, that you have to have the same number of male sports as you do female sports. You have to have so many opportunities for each of them and so forth. So it just regulates us meeting equality for everyone.
Do booster groups fall under Title IX?
If they're giving money, and if a group is giving money like that and it's widespread, then yes, that could become a part of Title IX. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mrs. Damasio.
They should be aware of that.
Yeah, well, they should be aware of that. That's their responsibility, and that can be audited from the state as well. But they have to make sure that some of them are set up for specific purposes, like girls soccer. So they don't usually have a Title IX issue, or, you know, the band is anybody in the band. They're not delineating between gender. So I think, you know, there's going to be massive changes to Title IX too, I believe, coming shortly.
I have a question. Weren't we told that Ray Ross was going to be president of the all sports booster group?
That's what he told me. That's what I would just assume that is he a part of that still, or was he?
Well, I asked the question because the policy says to be the president of it, you have to have a child who is actively participating in the sport.
So that would be weird too, because if it's all sports, is that just, would that count as like any sport, or is it specific?
Well, I'm just saying,
I'm still under the impression that they're not affiliated with us, that it's not an actual booster within the district, right?
Okay, because my concern was I don't think Ray Ross has any children playing any sport.
No, yeah, he doesn't. No.
Let's be clear, and this has come up time and time again. We have no authority over the boosters. They are set up as a private corporation under the state. We don't have access to their funds. We can't tell them how to distribute their funds. We can't tell them what to do. But we do have some oversight that we can choose to not recognize them if they're not meeting what we want them to meet. So it's not in a way, they are not under our umbrella. We do not have authority over them. But if they want the benefit of being a recognized organization under us, they're going to follow our policy. And I think that that's what we need to make clear is no, we don't have a right to dictate what their bylaws are or what they're doing. But we do have the right of the board to not recognize them if we're not happy with those things. And then that takes away their ability to be recognized from the state, because then their purpose isn't being fulfilled. But no, do we have a right to go in and look at their books? Technically, no. Do we have a right to go in and request their minutes? Technically, no. But if they want to be recognized as us as a district and use West Mifflin Area School District, the Titans, they want to be affiliated with our organization, then they're going to follow our policy of what we require to have that privilege of being recognized by us. So I think sometimes that's a blurry line, but no, they are not under our purview. Mr. Souls cannot go and dictate what these people do or how they set up or who's on the board or things like that. They have their bylaws that do that the state has approved. That's a state issue. But if they want us to recognize them, then we're going to ask them to follow this policy that you guys are discussing here today. And if they don't follow the policy, then we won't recognize them.
Okay. Helpful.
So we'll go ahead and take your suggestions and so forth. We'll get this typed up and cleaned up, and we will try to get this out to you prior to the committee meetings next week, and then we'll discuss it in committee with the full board being there.
There's one other thing I wanted to add to this. With the all sports boosters, my question to the board, which it needs to be addressed, is they cannot, as a combined entity, get a games of chance license. The county treasurer's office will not give a games of chance license to a combined sports group. It has to be one individual entity. So all of these groups are operating individually right now. The basketball team has their own booster group. The football team has their own booster group. We can't legally allow them to fundraise and do events knowing that they can't get a games of chance license, that they have to go with individual groups to get it for them.
So that's a little bit incorrect, Mrs. Englert. One, I don't know that that's the policy of the county. I don't believe that to be true because I know many organizations that represent multiple organizations that fundraise under one umbrella. So I don't believe that's accurate, but I will check.
Yes,
the
please
other
do.
thing is they have to be approved for their small games of chance by the board. We have never done that for the all sports boosters because they had to be in existence for 1 year. We passed a resolution to do that. They came to us last year, and I have the emails where they came and asked us to be recognized, and we told them no. And that's in that memo, the confidential memo that I provided you. We told them they could not be recognized because they'd be in existence of a year. So they were not able to get a small games of chance. There's other ways to fundraise without a small games of chance. So they can exist without a small games of chance license. They can fundraise in other means.
Yes.
So they can choose. I know organizations that refuse to do small games of chance license, but they fundraise a lot of money. So that they have not come back, as far as I understand, and asked us for a small games of chance license at this point. So, and I would think until what you have requested from them is satisfied, we would not vote on that issue. So at this point, they do not have a small games of chance license because we cannot recognize them because they haven't come to us yet, but they can certainly exist and raise money without a small games of chance license.
Okay.
Anything else on policy 919?
I have nothing for it.
Okay.
Nothing from me.
All right, we'll get that cleaned up and ready to go for next week. The only other thing I had on our agenda was to just let everyone know we got the 000 policies. There was a couple missing. Reach back out to PSBA to see if we can get those. So there may be a couple, 2 more policies coming forth under 000. But we also got the board governance, a guidance that goes along with each one of those policies. So that'll be something you guys want to take a look at. We can discuss in committee for next week as well.
Okay.
Now, remember, all the bold type print is new language that our old policy did not have. That's all new stuff, everything in bold. There's
Those
a
on the
couple of-
OneDrive.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, are copies of those on the OneDrive on the folder that we have?
Mrs. Bucko sent that out to all the board members
Okay,
via email.
thanks.
Mhm.
For policy 000, I was curious about the language. We added Duquesne for the land in reference to the school tax. They don't pay West Mifflin taxes. Does that matter?
I was taking that more in where we took students from,
Yeah,
or where I would say where our boundaries go.
yeah.
But now since they're part of Duquesne is part of the high school and middle school, I thought that was appropriate to add. And again,
Okay.
PSBA talked to us a little bit about it, but that was also their recommendation too.
Okay. I was just wondering because they don't pay taxes here, but we do get them as of right now, at least.
Yes, we get their basic funding subsidy for those students.
Okay.
So in
All right.
that,
That makes
we-
sense.
Indirectly, we get something.
Gotcha.
Plus, it's the city of Duquesne. I think they're not.
That's what I thought too, not Borough.
Yeah, we'll want to make that change.
Okay.
Mr. Souls, when will be the like next rollout of the like next group of policies? They have an idea? Because I know we had a lot on there, I believe.
You know what, it took them quite a while to get us just these,
Yeah, I was gonna say it was at
9
least
or
like
10.
2 months or something like that.
Yeah, I'm gonna say this is probably, they're probably rolling out, probably, we maybe get a package like once a month of
Okay.
the policies. So it'll be a little bit of a slow process.
But hopefully by beginning of next year, school year, we should have a brand new updated policy
Yes,
list.
I would hope so
Perfect.
too.
Yeah.
I would hope
Okay.
so, too.
That's kind of what I was like thinking that it was like gonna play out as. Like it wouldn't all just come in by like March or something or February.
No, they'll do it section by section. And I mean, it took them that long, and 000 is the smallest of all the sections.
Yeah.
I mean, just wait till we get to the employees and the students and so forth, where they're quite large. So they may take a little longer. Saying, and we may not get them in that order. You know, they may go to the 600s
Mhm.
through the 900s, since they're not even as big as that. But within the new policy manual, there's not a section 300 and 400. It's just one section, employees. There's no more split between professional and non.
And non-professional. Okay. Okay. So is that pretty much all we have? That's the only thing on the agenda. Does anyone have anything else?
So do we have, as far as the 919 goes, once we have that drafted, we have to go through 2 reads, correct?
That's correct. It'll be 2 readings.
And then
So-
the second one is when we vote to approve it.
You'll approve both readings. It'll both be on the agenda for approval, the first reading and the second. Then after the second reading, it'll be
Adopted.
Okay. Do we need to put into that a sense of time? I don't know if it has like anything in there about anything that's due by when. And
There are dates in there. There are dates, August and September dates.
I just didn't know if are they in there?
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know if we're keeping them, but they're in there now.
before the
would
start of the
say-
season.
Yeah, I would say since this is probably going to come out like in the middle of everything, would this just all go into effect for next school year? So like this upcoming like August or September, have everyone have their information like we were talking about?
Well, I think once we approve it, it's in effect. And then what we want to do with it.
I'm saying like give someone like a 3-month or a 6-month window to be able to get everything, or I don't know, a month or whatever, just like,
Yeah, heads
because
up.
it's in effect. But then if someone doesn't have it next week, do we like go after them or something? You know what I mean? Try to let people, give them some time to catch up, get up to speed.
I think we give them to July 1st
Okay.
to gather the information. And then one thing I would like to say about this year, it should be quite easy with the, you know, not that it's great we had the pandemic, but with the pandemic, there was
Wasn't
very
a whole
little
lot of-
fundraising. There was very little activity going on. So it won't be overburdensome for these booster groups to get this stuff together for us. But hopefully moving forward, then it'll be a little more robust.
You know, right now it says we have to sanction them by August, and they have to have all their current info to us by September 30th, including bylaws and objectives.
Yeah, so we'll put out a memo. We'll ask them to try to get all their information into us by July 1st. And then if they need assistance, they can come up and we can help them. I mean, it's no
Okay.
big. That'll give us time over the summer to work with everybody.
And then I would like to say that we should have a meeting of boosters, right? Like a summit kind of thing where everybody gets to meet everybody and know sort of like, what are your goals for this year? What
We
are
can
you?
hold it at the convention center downtown. No, I'm
Yeah,
just
right.
kidding.
But no,
With
seriously,
masks.
yeah, I understand what are your key events, dates, fundraisers, things, because communication, these people might have a lot in common if they don't already talk, and then realize they can work together and have a better event because they have a similar time frame or you know, similar goals in mind, and they do the same type of activities. I see it, you know, we've seen it sort of with the band, and I think the football boosters and their food trucks. That's been a very big success. I think they're doing it again. I just think having a summit, people can see each other's faces and kind of know names and faces and who to contact if they needed to. Maybe they know already. I don't. It just might make good practice to do that once a year.
We used to have sample or community day, and we don't have that now.
I'm just putting it out there. I'll leave it up to Mr. Souls to think.
If it's in the policy, we have to do it, so we'll do it. You know, it's not that big of a deal. One night, put everybody up in the bleachers, and you know, and that's actually a good time for us to lay out the expectations of what we expect of booster groups.
Right. Okay.
So I think that's pretty much it. Anything else?
Nice to see you, John.
Yeah. I guess do we need another policy meeting next week?
I'll have it on the for the committees. I'll put it on the agenda.
Okay, perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll just do it right through committee meeting.
Perfect.
Committee meetings on the 11th.
We got meetings coming up again already.
6 o'clock.
Short month.
Yeah, right.
Absolutely.
Are we meeting at the middle school?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yeah, same procedure as last month.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
All right. We appreciate everyone's time. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you.
See you guys. Have a good night.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.